In 1867, as America was still healing from the Civil War, Secretary of State William H. Seward made a bold move. He negotiated with Russia to buy Alaska, a vast, icy land few Americans had ever seen. The price, $7.2 million, less than 2 cents an acre. To most it seemed absurd. Why spend millions on a frozen wilderness? Newspapers mocked the deal, calling it Seward's Folly and Seward's icebox. Cartoons showed Seward shivering on a block of ice, Alaska dismissed as a land of polar bears and snow. The nation, focused on rebuilding, saw no value in this distant territory. But Seward saw beyond the jokes. He envisioned Alaska as a strategic outpost and a land of untapped resources. He believed in America's destiny to expand and saw Alaska as a foothold in the Pacific. While critics laughed, Seward stood firm, convinced the purchase would one day prove its worth. He was playing the long game, making a move that would only be understood by future generations. The deal was signed, and Alaska became part of the United States. At the time, few could imagine how this frozen bargain would reshape the nation. Seward's vision was ridiculed, but he had planted the seeds for a future no one else could see. The laughter would not last forever. Alaska's true value was yet to be revealed. Russia's adventure in Alaska began with fur, sea otters whose pelts were worth a fortune. Russian traders and trappers built outposts, but the colony was hard to manage and costly to defend. Overhunting decimated the otter population, and profits vanished. After losing the Crimean War, Russia's treasury was drained, and Alaska became a liability. The Tsar feared Britain might seize Alaska in a future conflict. Rather than lose it for nothing, Russia decided to sell. The United States, a friendly and rising power, was the ideal buyer. Selling to America would bring cash and create a buffer against British Canada. The decision was pragmatic, better to sell than to risk losing everything. In 1867, Russia offered Alaska to the United States. The Great Russian Bear retreated from North America, trading its distant empire for a much-needed sum. The stage was set for one of history's most surprising land deals. Alaska was now America's to discover. Negotiations for Alaska moved quickly. Russian Minister Eduard de Stuckel and Seward struck a deal in a single night. Seward presented the treaty to the Senate but faced fierce opposition. Senators and the press mocked the purchase, calling Alaska a sucked orange, stripped of value. Seward's Folly became the punchline of the day, yet Seward fought back, arguing Alaska's strategic and resource potential. Allies like Charles Sumner spoke passionately, painting Alaska as a land of timber, minerals, and fisheries. Slowly, opinion shifted. On April 9, 1867, the Senate ratified the treaty. The United States gained 586,000 square miles of new territory. In Sitka, the Russian flag was lowered and the American flag raised. Most Americans barely noticed. The true value of Alaska would remain hidden for years. But the foundation for a new chapter in American history had been laid. For decades, Alaska was a quiet, forgotten outpost. Critics seemed right. Seward's icebox was remote and undeveloped. Then, in the late 1890s, gold fever struck. The Klondike Gold Rush drew thousands north, with Alaska as the gateway to fortune. Towns like Skagway and DA sprang up overnight. Suddenly Alaska was on the world's map. In 1899, gold was discovered on the beaches of Nome. Here, fortune was just a shovel and pan away. News spread fast and thousands rushed to scoop gold from the sand. The Nome Gold Rush transformed Alaska's image from wasteland to treasure chest. People, investment, and infrastructure followed. New towns rose, telegraph lines stretched, and law arrived. Gold from Alaska fueled the American economy. Seward's Folly had paid off, many times over. The laughter faded, replaced by awe at Alaska's riches. The land's promise was finally being realized. Gold was just the beginning. Alaska's mountains hid copper, fueling America's growing cities. The Kennecott mine became one of the world's richest. Coal seams powered ships and railroads vital for the U.S. Navy, but the biggest discovery came in the 20th century: oil. Prudhoe Bay, found in 1968, was North America's largest oil field. The Trans-Alaska Pipeline, an engineering marvel, carried oil 800 miles to market. Oil revenue transformed Alaska, funding the Alaska Permanent Fund. Every resident now receives a yearly dividend from the state's oil wealth. From gold to oil, Alaska became a cornerstone of America's prosperity. The land once mocked as a frozen wasteland was now a pillar of resource independence. Seward's vision had come true in ways he never imagined. Alaska's greatest value may be its location. Seward saw it as a strategic outpost, a bridge to Asia. In World War II, Alaska's Aleutian Islands were invaded by Japan, the first occupation of U.S. soil since 1812. The U.S. built the Alaska Highway and fought to reclaim the islands, proving Alaska's military importance. During the Cold War, Alaska faced the Soviet Union across the Bering Strait. It became America's first line of defense against nuclear attack. Radar stations and Air Force bases dotted the landscape, ready for any threat. The distant early warning line watched the skies for Soviet bombers. For decades, Alaska was a silent guardian, protecting the continent. What began as a folly became a keystone of national security. Seward's strategic gamble had paid off. Alaska was no longer just a land of resources, it was a shield. Its value, once doubted, was now undeniable. As America unlocked Alaska's wealth, regret grew in Russia. What once seemed a smart sale became a symbol of lost opportunity. Russians watched as the U.S. reaped billions from gold, copper, and oil. The phrase "Seward's folly" took on new meaning. Russia's folly was in selling, not buying. The sale became a cautionary tale about short-term thinking. Today, Alaska faces new challenges: climate change, shifting energy markets, and a changing Arctic. Yet its opportunities remain vast. Melting sea ice is opening new shipping routes, making Alaska strategically vital once again. The land stands as a symbol of American resilience and vision. Seward's gamble continues to shape the nation's future. The frozen bargain of 1867 became one of America's greatest treasures. Sometimes history's biggest risks yield the richest rewards.